of us once again. This is the Young Investors Digest, and my name is Vanessa Oparibi-Akufo. I'm hosting this digest with my host, Maxwell Dankwa. I don't know if Maxwell has joined. Maxwell, please, are you on the call? Okay, I think
Yes,
Maxwell is.
Yes, I am.
Oh, all right. So we'll kickstart the digest. Please let's call on Maxwell to give us the introductory. I won't call it speech, but introductory message for the digest this evening.
Okay, thank you very much, Vanessa, for stepping in. I was running a little bit late, but forgive me. Welcome. My name is Maxwell Dankwa. I'm your usual suspect host for your Young Investor Network's Digest show, which comes to you every Sunday, 7 p.m. We've been a bit off for a while, but thankfully we are back. I imagine that all of you have been doing well during that period. So just jumping right into it, not to waste time, today's show is a fully loaded one, if I'm allowed to say. And we'll be talking to some very seasoned persons who have passed through the systems of Young Investor Network. I can say they are actually born and bred of the Young Investors Network system. And they've gone through, they have a very storied history, if I'm allowed to put it that way. And they'll be talking about, in their past participants themselves, of the capital market quiz. So joining on the call, we have Sylvester Odro, who is a summer analyst for Bank of America UK. And we have Douglas Kwame Ajay, who is also a summer analyst for Bank of America. We have Isaac Opai, who is currently also, he is a seasoned accountant. He's currently an assistant manager with, I believe, KPMG, or one of the big four firms. I stand corrected. We'll find out more. Then we have Charles Denchi Jr., who's also an accounts officer with Gold Keys Properties Limited. So as you can see, these are heavyweights on the call for today's segment. And just to give you a preview or a sneak peek, they themselves have partaken in the capital market quiz, or at some point have interfaced with the quiz. So we'll be asking them what their journey has been so far, what they've learned from it, and basically what they are looking forward to for this year's edition of the capital market quiz. So just to jump right into it, let's start with Douglas. Douglas, how are you, boss? Douglas.
Hi, Max. Hello, everyone.
Charlie, how be?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. We are honored to have you on the call. Tell us. First, you are the first to go. Tell us, capital market quiz. What's your history with this competition? I know you are part of the Young Investors Network. You've been in the mix of it for quite some time. So tell us, capital market quiz in particular, what has been your history from when you heard of it, joined, participated, if you participated, and how you benefited from it. So just run us through.
All right. Thank you very much for the question. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the call. My name is Douglas Ajay. So when did I start with all this Young Investors Network membership and all that? So we had this quiz competition back in senior high school. I was just in school focused on my books, and I heard about the Young Investors Network capital markets quiz competition. And I was fortunate to be selected by my department to represent my school. So that's how it started. I didn't really know much about stocks, investments, and all that. So it's through this capital markets quiz competition that I got to know about the capital markets, investment industry, and all that. So since then, I have kind of gained an interest in finance and investments. Yeah.
Nice. So with respect to your journey from when you participated in the capital market quiz up to the point where you sort of discovered you had an interest and you toed the line of finance, where you are actively you're a budding finance professional, how would you perhaps tell us your journey was influenced by the capital market quiz? How would you tell us?
Okay, thank you very much. And it's a good question. Back in senior high school, honestly speaking, I had friends who were like, I want to become an accountant. I want to become corporate lawyer. You know, my friends had so many aspirations back in senior high school, but unfortunately, I didn't really know what I like. I didn't have any specific interest. I was like a journalist. I was doing well in all courses, so I didn't really have any specific field like accounting. And also, I didn't have anyone in, let's say, accounting, banking, or I didn't really know anyone. So it's kind of a first gen guy who is trying to make ways for himself. So through the capital markets quiz competition, I kind of developed an interest for the investment sector. Why? Because I felt like there's an opportunity for me to make real impact in people's lives. So you're managing people's funds, you're managing people's investment. That's kind of opportunity you get for being investment or banking. So that's what really, I would say, gained my interest back in senior high school. So initially, I didn't really have any career goals. I didn't have any plans for my career. So it's basically through this quiz competition that I was able to identify my passion and my career. Yeah.
I think it's incredible that you were, for you in particular, like you said, you were doing well in almost everything. You're a brilliant person. I know personally you're a brilliant person, but this helped to perhaps steer your journey or guide you somewhat. And I think that's incredible. And we can't really overemphasize the role a competition like this has played or will play in the trajectory of people's career. And you are an example of it because you've gone on to do tremendously well. But again, I want you to tell us, within your experience in the competition, right? When you saw the concepts that were being explained or what you were being quizzed on and all that, it piqued your curiosity to a certain extent, I believe. Afterwards, how did you apply yourself to wanting to know more? You understand? Post capital market quiz. I imagine that when you realize that, yes, you can do well in this area, it feeds into your interest. How did you apply yourself and then carve out your current career pathway?
Right. Thank you. So after the capital markets quiz, we had a very steep learning curve. Because of the quiz, I was able to learn a lot of concepts about investment and finance. So one thing I really gained from this quiz was I tried to kind of explore what I was learning, honestly speaking. So right after the quiz, I tried to open an account. I remember I went to one of the leading banks in Ghana to open an account, and they were asking me so many questions because I was just in SHS. They were asking me so many questions about utility bills and all that, but I just wanted the account for having it sick. So I was just trying to explore amongst my class. I think I was the only person who was able to open an account at my age then in senior high school. And going on, I also got a chance to open an account, like an investment account, aside from the bank account. I was able to open an investment account through the quiz competition. So the prize that I won from the participating in the quiz, Young Investors Network actually opened an account for me. So I remember my first relationship manager that I got from the investment firm. Like, I reached out to the person recently on LinkedIn, and it was quite interesting. So through the quiz, I tried to explore and kind of have a practical feel of what I was learning. So I'll hear about mutual fund. What is mutual fund? I'll hear about stocks. What are stocks? So out of curiosity, I tried to go to the various investment firms to understand like the real thing they are doing. I went to the banks, some of the banks, to also get an account. So that's what I would say like I did outside or after the quiz competition to kind of have a practical feel of what I learned.
Great. I think that makes you a very unique example, and perhaps maybe one of the best examples of people who went on after the competition or after an opportunity to further explore what their strengths might be. From where you sit, Douglas, the capital market quiz has really come of age, right? So from where you sit, tell us, how do you see the competition going forward? And if you have any pointers for us or for Young Investors Network as to how they can improve it, please let us know.
Right, thank you. So I don't know, I cannot overemphasize the importance of this quiz. I'm really particular about it. Like, you know, when you're in senior high school, you're very naive. You don't really know about anything unless you are fortunate to have mentors or family members who are there to guide you, especially if you are coming from a very humble background, you don't know anything, you don't have any mentor to guide you and all that. I think this quiz is something that kind of gives you the exposure that you need, gives you the opportunity to kind of explore other aspects of finance or investment. So I'm really passionate. I spoke to one of the directors of Young Investors Network to kind of increase the number of schools that are participating in this competition, like go to other schools outside Accra to include them, go to maybe, if possible, get sponsorship, go to the northern sector, involve students there. Like, we have so many talents in Ghana that many of them don't really know about some of these opportunities. So I'm really particular about the quiz competition, the exposure you get, your name going out there, people hearing about you and all that. So first of all, what I would suggest is we need to expand beyond schools in Accra. Should involve more girls' schools as well, because I'm really particular about the diversity side. It shouldn't only be about the boys' schools. Girls' schools should be involved. We should go beyond Accra as well. And I think it will be a great quiz, and it's kind of going to create more talents for Ghana. We have a lot of talents in Ghana through this quiz competition.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Vanessa.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much for your submissions. I believe that your journey has been impactful, and then other people would also turn out to be like you and then get to experience all the goodies that there is to having to associate themselves with the stock markets quiz. All right. So we'll move on to our next guest. That's Isaac Opai. I don't know if I'm getting the surname right.
Don't worry. Nice.
Please, what is it? Opai or Opai?
Yeah, so Opai is fine.
All right. Okay. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. And it's really a pleasure having such an important person like you join us today and having to share your views on, our topic of discussion. So without wasting much time, we basically want to know how the journey so far through, this whole initiative has been for you.
All right. Thank you very much, Vanessa. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. So my name is Isaac Opai. I currently reside in the UK. I'm an audit assistant manager. I audit large and complex financial services entities. I've always worked with Deloitte, and I was with Deloitte Ghana prior to moving to Deloitte UK, the #1 accounting firm in the world. So a little background, I am a chartered accountant, and like I mentioned, I have experience with Deloitte from Ghana, and now I'm working and I reside in the UK. So my experience starting with Young Investors Network, I was part of the team that started the May edition, and I attended the West Africa Senior High School. And when I started, I became a part, I So in my school, I was one of the seasoned students. I was always on top of my class from Form 1 to Form 3. I was always come on top the whole school. And I was a business student. So I was picked, and I have one friend of mine that was also picked. She was my classmate. She was a very good student as well. And even at that time, so I was getting introduced to just a little bit of finance, that is in economics, just a little bit of it. And concepts that Young Investors Network introduced me to was at that time it was picking my memory. So I saw a lot of happenings. I got to understand a bunch of concepts that are happening in the finance world, as opposed to the basic economics, the basic accounting that we used to do from a high school level. What happened is I got Joshua, and I got one of the tutors of mine, Madame Emma. They were very tremendous in my upbringing and in giving me insight and concept into the finance world. And I kept studying the concepts. It was interesting. We learned, and we went for other competitions. We beat the other schools. We could at zonals. We were first. Went up to the very final level, and unfortunately, we became second at the whole of final. So that made an addition. We didn't actually win the first prize, but was second was still good. We lost to Presec that year. But just to add to that, just last year I was the one handling my school. I went there to coach them, and we were able to beat Presec in the finals. That was a revenge I had for them before I relocated from Ghana. Now the concepts that I studied when I got to the university, I realized that the foundation was great because what Young Investors Network introduced me to all the finance concepts, or all the things in practicals that we look at, we would ask all the questions. Joshua would help us. Our teachers and tutors at WAS will help us, will explain to us, will contact Joshua and some of the other the people in the network, and they would explain the concept. And then when I got to the university, I did accounting as my major option. And the finance courses were very smooth because I realized, okay, I have a proud knowledge and proud information about what I'm learning now. And in high school, I asked some of the questions that quote and unquote might look stupid, like because at that time it was very basic to me. I had to ask all the questions I need to ask. And then that helped me to be able to build on that at the university. So at the university level, I already know not to ask all the questions that quote and unquote would be considered stupid because I understood what the concepts were. And I just needed a little bit of add-on. So for all the finance courses, well, glory to God, but they were all good. They were all smooth. And I just needed a little top up and they were fine. That's how that step up helped me from the high school level, and then the finance that I was introduced to with Young Investors Network and participating in the quiz. And then I got a little build up and I was fine at the university level. Now, when I moved past, so just to add this, at the university level, from the year I joined to the year I finished, I was a VC's favorite. So, and I got awards for being the best student all the time. And the contributing factor would be Young Investors Network for all the finance courses as well. And the rest I was passionate about accounting and the others. Now, when I moved from there, so before I even moved from there, at one of the years, I remember in level 200, I was the best student, and then Deloitte, that was when Deloitte came into the picture. They realized, okay, this guy is good, he's on top of his class and all that, and then so they came for me, and I did internship over there. Now, I was an auditor, I was getting intern as an audit staff, but I realized they put me at a section where I audit financial services industries. Now, financial services, you realize that the basics that I learned from finance, the app from Young Investors Network, the upgrade that I got at the university, and the finance concept that I got introduced to the Young Investors Network, that I was now putting that in practice in the real world. So I would go and do the internship, and then I would come back to continue. So when I completed, I just went straight. Deloitte came to pick me up, and I still went and continued with the auditing of the financial services firms and entities. And I realized I loved finance and the finance concepts, and they were great. And I had more interest in that. And so I wanted something that is more complex. I wanted something that is more interesting. I wanted something that's more large. I wanted a bit more challenge. And that is why, so I decided, okay, fine. If I've done great with the basic concept that I got built on from to being a member of Young Investors Network, from participating in the capital market quiz, from learning through the university, going to do internship and getting the practical feel of all of it. And I think I've done so much, audited all the big entities, the financial service entities you can consider in Ghana. Example, the GCB, which is the biggest in Ghana. I was part of the audit team for some time, and I realized, okay, so if I've done all the great stuff because I had a good basic, now I'm interested in something that is a little more large, that is complex, and I believe the UK economy would give me that opportunity to do something that is large and complex. When I'm talking about large and complex, that's financial, that the transactions are pretty much interesting, and it gives you a deeper understanding of finance, and then the concepts are wild as compared to the one that you can see in the Ghanaian economy. And so with that interest that was built from the Young Investors Network level from high school, I built on it, and now I'm doing large and complex entities in the UK, pretty much across the UK. That is how the journey has been from the beginning to large and complex and so finance to this time. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Isaac. It's really, I can see it's really been a journey for you. And I must say congratulations and for all the good things you're doing and the exploits. I mean, we're very proud of you, and the fact that you're a product of Young Investors Network is really something, to behold, and all of that. So finally, we want to know what the future is looking like for you. So then with having to work with Deloitte and all your experiences and the much exposure you've received, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 minutes? How's the future looking like for you, basically?
All right, so now what the future looks like is, I like it over here, but I like that there are complex finance stuff to deal with. And if I'm dealing with something, I want to get to the top of it. Like now I got the basics in high school some years ago. I've built on it so far. I've gotten to the best I could get in the Ghanaian economy. I felt I was getting limited, so I needed the very best, the very large and complex, the farthest I could go and be an expert in it. And here, I think that gives me that challenge, which I like it. I have all the resources I need. Sometimes I reach out to even the Young Investors Network team, people all over the place, ready to assist, to exchange knowledge. And it's a great learning curve. So for the next 5 years, I'm looking at climbing. So I'm an assistant manager now. I should be a senior manager, getting to a director. And in the long run, I should be a partner in the UK, in Deloitte. So that's what the plan is looking at. So still doing financial services audit and getting grabs with more concept and growing over here. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing with us what the future is looking like for you. So some final words, your thoughts about the capital market quiz, and for people who want to be a part of this and are a bit hesitating about joining and whatnot, and then basically your final words for anyone listening.
All right, thank you, Vanessa. So I think the opportunities while participating or being a member of Young Investors Network is just enormous. One, let me start with the finance part. When we won, we didn't win the ultimate at that time when it was a maiden edition. I mean, we got some good money, like Douglas mentioned earlier. He got some account open for him, which I'm sure he liked so much. Well, I had some money and some investment accounts open for me, which the money really helped me. And it allowed me to talk to relationship managers, people, to see how the fund would manage and all that. So that's the financial gain over there. Now that's one. Two, it's a network, and it's a network of people who are going places, people who are all over the globe, people who are ready to help not only your academics, but your career, and they're willing to point you to resources that will help you to grow in the world of finance. That would be two. So first, the money. Second, the network. And third, it's a great thing to be an impactful person to a group of people, to a generation. Like I said, last year, I was in Ghana with Deloitte before I moved to Deloitte in the UK. I got to go to my school, and then the participants, they needed some assistance, and they were like, oh, Opai has this great deal of experience, and he participated himself, so he knows how it was like. He contacted me. I went there, assisted with them, explained the concepts, and I felt I'd made a contribution to them, and well, they won. They won the ultimate prize, and that's happy. I'm happy with that. So those are some of the benefits you could get, and there are a lot of opportunities that are open for you going forward. Targets the now. How I believe this is a way that we could get get it going forward, and a suggestion for us to make it better. That would be in relation to the reach, as in, I believe just for now. So let's compare this typically to the National Science and Maths quiz that everyone loves to watch. So that one's a lot more nationwide. Everyone is involved, a bunch of schools, a lot more schools, and the coverage is over there. They reach a lot more people. They want to know what's the update. So I believe what we would need to do for us to get in there and get people interested in the world of business and finance and the Young Investors Network. No more this, but that we put in a lot more effort to include some more schools, just to add up to what Douglas said. Include a lot more schools, get their reach out there, make it a lot more nationwide, and get a best of minds to compete. So we can have that there as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Isaac. It's really been a pleasure having you share your experiences and some words of encouragement for anyone who wants to join the capital market quiz. All right. So we have a short commercial, a short advertisement of Young Investors Network up and coming events that everyone should take notice of. So then on the 30th of November, that's this month, we have the capital market quiz. It's coming off on the 30th of November. And also there's a stock pitch, in between November and December. There's no specific date out yet, but let's anticipate it and then look out for any flyer regarding the stock pitch. And finally, in December, we're crowning everything with a Global Youth Investment Festival that's happening on the 10th of December. Let's take note, on the 10th of December, we are crowning our events as Young Investors Network with our Global Youth Investment Festival. All right. So I think there's a good opportunity to move on to the next speaker. But before then, if anyone has like a question or something, just a question.
Yes, Vanessa. Yeah, okay. Vanessa. So we are a bit short on time, so we'll skip the questions and perhaps we'll give them a chance to comment later on our social media posts.
So that's amazing.
We have Charles Denchi on the line, on the call, and he is, like I mentioned earlier, with Gold Keys Properties Limited, very, very renowned firm. They have a couple of buildings in Accra. So he's an accounts officer with them, and he happens to also have gone through the rank and file of Young Investors Network and has participated somewhat or has interfaced with the quiz competition. So we would like to hear from him in the next couple of minutes what his experience has been. Hello, Charles. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, please.
Wonderful to have you, Charles. Tell us more what your journey has been from beginning to end. Capital Market Quiz, Young Investors Network. Run us through.
Okay, good evening to you all. And thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. And I'd like to also acknowledge my colleagues, Isaac Opai, and the people who took part in the Capital Market Quiz with me. Well, with my experience with this quiz, so I quite remember right in SHS, there was a particular day teacher told us that there's this quiz that they would like us to attend. And we are going to have that quiz with a number of schools. So they made some selections. We were 3 initially. I was very, very reluctant, truly. I was very, very reluctant. I was very reserved and didn't want to take part in the quiz, but some way, somehow, I found myself in it. So I represented Presbyterian Boys Secondary School with my colleague, Alvin. And I remember the quiz was a very tough one. Isaac Opai really gave us a tough time. He really gave us a tough time. during that quiz. I quite remember that was where I really got to know him, and he has been an amazing and excellent person, excellent by all standards, throughout our stay in the university. Yeah, so we went in for the capital market quiz, and by God's grace, we emerged as winners. Well, the experience was a very great one because I was just so much interested in the accounting bit, but having to learn something about investment and finance, I developed some interest over there. So I also got to learn that as young individuals that are coming up, there was the need for us to develop this savings attitude, this savings and investment attitude, because it will get to a point where you'd need to be financially independent. You can't always depend on someone for something. So the main purpose of the event, yes, it was a quiz, and we won. We got some funds that really helped. But one major thing that I learned or I took from this quiz was so that we'll also be able to develop that investment attitude in us. So that despite the fact that we'll be working and all, you also need to let your money work for you without doing anything. Yeah, so that was my experience with the capital market quiz. It was an amazing, amazing time. Thank you.
Great, Charles. Charles Denchi, council officer with Gold Keys Properties Limited. As you can tell, today's lineup, even without all of them showing up, looks pretty solid, and even time wouldn't permit us to even ask them a second round of questions, in as much as I would love to do that. I had some very serious questions for Douglas in particular, Isaac and Charles. These are people that I believe have a lot, and they really can pour out of their pots of wisdom enough on just a 1 hour call. There's more we could discuss, but hopefully we'll have another segment with them where we really cut our teeth on what their experiences have been, what they are currently doing, just dive deep, and what their plans to mentor the upcoming generation in career decisions and choices are. And I know Douglas in particular is doing something in that space. And I also imagine the rest are also not sleeping. They are looking to make impact in their communities as well. So we have to wrap up the show, unfortunately. What I preferred, it went on for a little longer, but we have to wrap up the show, unfortunately. And like I said, my name is Maxwell Dankwa. I'm your usual suspect host, and I was co-anchored by Vanessa Oparibia Akufu, my very able co-host. And this has been your... Vanessa, you want to say something?
I must say that this has really been an eye-opener, and I've personally learned so much. Because I mean, many a time people associate some form of disregard to the quiz, but then having having this quiz birth people like Sylvester, Isaac, and the likes. I mean, it's I must say it's really a chance people should take and explore. And I mean,
so that's all time will allow us this week. So until next week, be safe, and we'll see you again on Sunday. Thank you so much, and bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maxwell. Bye.
Thank you.
Leave, Joe.